Good evening out there. Dr. Andrew Merrill here, and this is Wednesday Night Wellness Live. And I'm here at Nightlight Chiropractic in downtown Orlando. It's about 8:30-ish my time, and it's very cold outside here in Orlando, so we're going to keep this Wednesday Night Wellness Live very quick and to the point. So tonight's video, and these videos are designed to kind of go over some common themes that we see in the office, right? So if you've ever been in my office before, we use this term a lot. It's evidence-based medicine or evidence-based practice, right? And that's what we kind of strive to achieve and be here. But I think a lot of times when I'm talking about that, a lot of patients kind of go cross-eyed or kind of look at me strangely because they don't know what I mean when I say that. And so I want to clear up a little bit to you, the viewer, what evidence-based medicine really means and looks like, and more importantly, I guess, why that matters, right? Like, why would I keep harping on this evidence-based medicine or this evidence-based practice unless it really mattered and was important to you, okay? So tonight, we're going to try and keep things a little bit light. So, right, like as I was going over this earlier today, as I was kind of putting together tonight's little Wednesday Night Wellness Live, it started to dawn on me that some of this gets really deep, right? So we talk about this in chiropractic school or in medical school, they'll talk about it. But as you as the consumer, you as a layperson, you really don't have to know most of this evidence-based protocols, but it is important for you to know why we care about that and how it directly affects you. So like I said, it gets a little bit deep in here. At any time, you can kind of raise your hand there in the comments section and say, listen, Dr. Merrill, I like what you're saying, but can you please explain this to me in more detail or less detail? Or listen, I have no idea what you're talking about. Stop and go back. Or just, click off it and go scroll through the puppy videos or whatever. But this is important information. Now, why would it be so important to you? And why do I even want to help you to explain what it is? Well, it affects you in two different ways. One, it affects you in your care, right? So a practitioner who's practicing evidence-based medicine is going to get the best outcome for you in the shortest amount of time with the most amount of evidence behind them to support that, right? So that's important. If you want to get well, you want to find the doctor that's using the most evidence for the best possible outcomes for you, right? That's I think, really, really important. The second reason that you should care about evidence-based medicine is that it's going to save you money. Right? So if you're getting better faster, if you're getting to the proper diagnosis and treatment in less time and it will be less dollars, right? Maybe you can avoid some unnecessary procedures along the way that would end up costing you all kinds of money. So it's important for two reasons. One, to save your health, but two, to save your money, okay? So tonight we're going to do two quick things. I'm going to give you kind of an overview and an example of what evidence-based medicine is. And then I'm also going to talk to you real quickly about how you can find more information and how you can be an informed consumer when it comes to this and kind of some different places that you can go do some research. I have David Francis here watching in Detroit, and I guarantee it's colder in Detroit, but he's asking me a question here real quick. Is BioFreeze good for back pain? And it's kind of a loaded question. So we use a lot of BioFreeze here in the office, and we also sell BioFreeze here in the office to patients. What we find is because menthol is the active ingredient, you really don't get addicted to it, and we love using ice and BioFreeze early on. The reason why is that it can oftentimes prevent you from having to use an over-the-counter NSAID, which becomes very dangerous for you over time, or something more prescription or more narcotic, which is obviously worse for you. So it's good for back pain, but it is not a solution for back pain. It's kind of like a Band-Aid for back pain. I hope that answered the question for you, Mr. Francis there, and thank you for watching up there in Detroit. So like I said, we're going to give you a quick example and we're going to give you some resources in the comment section. So let's jump right into it. The definition here for evidence-based medicine, it was coined in the early 1990s by David Sackett in Ontario, Canada, and some of his colleagues. And an evidence-based practice is any practice that relies on scientific evidence for guidance and decision-making. And practices that are not evidence-based may rely on tradition, intuition, or other unproven methods, and obviously that's no good, right? We want the evidence, the strongest evidence behind us. Real quick to stop there on the definition part, we're going to get right back to it. I have here a question about why ice over heat. And ice over heat, again, if you look in some of our past videos, which you can find on our YouTube channel, you can also find it right here on Facebook if you scroll back far enough onto our page. We use ice because we want to reduce swelling, and you reduce swelling with ice, not heat. So you're never going to err on the side of using ice, but you could err by using heat to increase increase some swelling. I got Dr. Rojas watching here. Hello, sir. Anyway, so definition of evidence-based practice right there is we want to use science for decision-making. We don't want to use tradition, intuition, or just kind of haphazardly doing what has always been done before. So about that example I wanted to show you, and this is an older example. This is kind of from back when I went through school, and I busted out the differential diagnosis and management for the chiropractor, and it's by Thomas Sosa. It's from about 2005, give or take. But I wanted you to see what the algorithms that we kind of decision make by using this evidence-based medicine, right? So right from the book here, I don't know if you can see this table here, but we start with all kinds of questions. We start with things like, patient complains of lower back pain, and then we're asking all these questions, doing all of these tests, making sure that we are getting the right testing done and asking the right questions so that we get to the right diagnosis here on the side. Right? I mean, we want to make sure that we're not getting the wrong diagnosis or just kind of shooting from the hip saying, I've seen this before, I know what this is. And this is just for the diagnosis, right? Like the treatment is a whole different idea. It's a whole different algorithm that we're playing by. And these are the things that your doctor should be talking about, right? Your doctor should be talking about, well, here is the step-by-step progression of what we do when we see this diagnosis. And that's really important. I've talked about this in other videos. If your doctor is not starting with, this is the diagnosis, or at least this is the diagnosis we're working with, then you should probably run screaming. Right? That is what medicine is based on, a diagnosis. You need to get that. You need to have that information to be an informed consumer so that then you can use it, like I'm going to show you here in just a minute, to apply it to evidence-based medicine, right? So that was real quick, one algorithm for one thing, which was lower back pain. This applies to everything, though. I need you to understand that. So, I mean, my realm is neck pain, back pain, and headaches. That's what we do here. These are the algorithms. These are the treatment protocols. This is the science that I know very, very well. However, evidence-based medicine is everything in medicine, right? There's dentists that are evidence-based doctors. There's podiatrists that are evidence-based doctors, cardiologists, neurologists. All of us have these algorithms and these agreed upon specialist procedures that are either evidence-based because we've done the research and we can prove them, or they are not evidence-based because it's just somebody said a long time ago, this is what we do, and that's not what you're looking for, right? You don't want that. Okay, so treatments change every single day, right? This evidence is not like a cookie cutter stamp that once it's there, it's done. This is one of those things that changes literally every single day. So again, you want a practitioner who is reading the evidence, who is reading the journals, who is taking the time to at least become familiar with what's out there. Like, I'm no expert. Like, you're not going to hear me quoting journal articles that I have read. One, because I don't really care about the individual numbers or the individual percentages most times. But two, because really I need to explain it to you, right? I'm not in the research setting. I don't need to spill it back to the researcher. We're not going to be using statistical values when I'm talking to you in the office, because you need to understand what I'm talking about very quickly, right? So it's important that you're getting the gist of this, but you don't have to get down to the nitty gritty, and neither do I, but you want to make sure that your doctor is at least well informed on kind of what has changed since the last time they looked at the research, right? So I just picked up a book from literally 15 years ago. It's not even hardly relevant anymore, so much has changed, but that's I guess, more to your doctor being informed. But again, like I said, I'm going to show you how you can be informed as well here in just a second. So one of the first places that you need to be familiar with is PubMed.gov. So it's www.pubmed.gov. And what this is it's 30 million journal articles, and book citations put together by the government, so housed by the government, paid for by the government, that are all about health and medicine. And what you do is you go there, and in the search bar, you're going to type in whatever your diagnosis is, not what you think it is, right? Because that might get you to a weird, slippery place, just like if you're to do into Google. But what your diagnosis is, and then what the recommended treatment is. Because that's really going to show you what the evidence says about your care. Now, it's important that I say this to you as a practitioner, right? Because I can stand behind this, because what we do here at Nightlight Chiropractic is exactly what you're going to find in all these journal articles, right? I mean, sure, there's a little bit of leeway on either side. Yeah, the timelines of things don't exactly match. Is it 2 weeks or is it 3 weeks to try this? Should you do that step before that step? But as a whole, they really do match. And so you want to make sure that you're looking at the algorithms, or you're looking at the research on the treatment that your doctor is about to apply to your diagnosis, right? So if you go to PubMed.gov, you're going to be able to pull up all kinds of abstracts, which are like shortened, condensed versions of the journals. And that's what you need to read through. And yeah, you're not going to understand all this at first, right? This stuff wasn't written for you. It was written for researchers to talk to other researchers, to be perfectly honest. But then for other groups, including medical doctors and chiropractors, to then distill some of that information to get to best practice. But some of it you are going to understand very, very quickly. And the stuff that you don't understand, you're going to want to kind of hone up on, right? So if you got the right diagnosis and this is the treatment you're talking about, you better make sure that you are well informed about what you're getting into and does it work before you even want to start going down that road. Hi, Moni. Yes, I do. Just like him. Anyway, so again, like I said before, you want to make sure that you're informed to save yourself the hassle of having the wrong diagnosis and or the wrong treatment and or a whole lot of money that you might pour into getting the wrong diagnosis or chasing down the wrong treatment by somebody who isn't using evidence-based medicine. So PubMed.gov, the best place to go find quick journal articles. It's all free, at least the abstracts that you're going to use. Down here in the comments section here in about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes or so, I'm going to give you about 8 different links that are going to be reputable places where you can go to look up evidence-based practices compared to your treatments, right? So you type in your diagnosis, you type in the treatment that your doctor's considering, or maybe you're considering, and then you see what kind of pops up, right? So give us just a minute and we're going to put that stuff down in the comment section. As usual, I look at these videos back well after they're done, right? So I'm winding up here in just a minute, but all of these comments, I will continue to see them throughout the rest of the week. Feel free to shoot me a question into these comments, whether it be about evidence-based medicine or really anything in general. You can always send an email to drmerrill, M-E-R-R-I-L-L, at nightlightchiropractic.com. That comes directly to me, right? If you need access to me, if you have a question for me, if you want to know how we apply evidence-based medicine to certain things, email me. I'm happy to get in touch with you. I'm happy to talk to you about all of this stuff. Understand that when I do these videos, it's to explain stuff to you. I'm not pitching anything. I'm not selling anything. What I'm trying to do is help you, the consumer, to get the best answers to the best questions that you have as a whole, and again, stay well. That is the wellness part of Wednesday Night Wellness Live, and here we are at the end. So look in the comments for some of those places that you can find those resources. If you need to find me again, you can go back to that email address and hit me on that email address. And Miss Renata, I'm only talking fast because it's the end. I talk faster and faster as the video goes faster to its conclusion, and here we are at the end. So again, everyone have a wonderful week here. Good night. I will see you next Wednesday for another Wednesday Night Wellness Live.